Kylie. Welcome to Sunday Sports Club. I'm so excited to have you on and
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it was fun being on your podcast, but now I get to ask all the questions. So I hope
Oh
you're
gosh.
ready.
I hope I have interesting answers.
Of course you do. So first off, I have to say I have a friend currently staying with me and she has her 2 boys. So we currently have 3 kids in the house and you currently have 3 kids in the house.
Yes.
How? How do you juggle all of that?
We're having fun, aren't we?
No, I'm terrified. My husband was like, "Maybe we should just stick with 1."
Um, you know, every time I've had another kid, I've had this moment before the next baby comes where I ask myself, is this the right thing? Am I doing the right? Did I make the right choice? Because you settle into this comfort zone and all
Mhm.
of a sudden you're like, "Oh, we are about to like close the lid, shake up the box and like hope everything's still intact when we get through this newborn phase." It's so interesting. And also, I know that you've said this before, but about like I think recently you said um about not knowing how to like have enough love for another kid.
I
And
said that I already don't like my next kid.
I I felt that so hard with our first, and our first was a difficult sleeper. I swear sleep deprivation is like the worst form of torture. And I still, at the end of the day, was like, what am I doing? And I was leaving for the induction and I picked her up to like say goodnight to her. And it was the first time ever that she voluntarily kissed me on the cheek.
Oh.
And it was one of those moments where I thought, oh, this is the universe telling me it's going to be okay. And it turns out they were the best of friends. They love having a sister. They fight and bicker, but they love
Mhm.
having a sister. And it is so clear that they are enriching each other's lives.
Oh my
And
god.
then and then the third came along and it was just full zone coverage at all times, even when both parents are home. Sheer chaos. And she's ridiculous. Just and the perfect addition. So I'm hoping that number 4 will be similar. But jury's still out. We'll find out.
I mean, honestly, your oldest is old enough that I feel like she can, step in every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I'll be like hands deep in making dinner or doing the dishes. And of course, we were put on this earth as mothers to open snacks and fill water bottles. I don't know if you know
Absolutely.
that. It's it's our duty. And I will send her sisters to her to say, "Oh, can you please go ask Wyatt nicely if she will open your snack for you? Because mom's hands are busy." So, I already put Wyatt to work, and she's very sweet about I always tell her after the fact, I say, I really appreciate that you opened that for your sister. That was very kind." Because I don't ever want her to feel like it's her obligation either. Like, you don't have to raise
Mhm.
your sisters. You're a kid.
You can say
And
no.
this was my choice. I did this.
Yeah, this is mom and dad's decision.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But with a full house and another one on the way, we talked about, like, me finding my pink, getting my pink back when, I came on your show, and so are you finding time for yourself? Like, how are you finding time for yourself? If you are, what are you doing to just, like, take a second?
Well, I will say
Kylie?
I do blink twice if you're okay. Um, I I I sort of go through phases. Um, when a true baby is still in the house, my go-to escape will be to go and get coffee by myself.
Mhm.
Because it's such a simple thing to do. I will go and get coffee and come back, pull in the driveway, sit for 5 minutes in the car, drink my coffee so that I'm not running the risk of dumping it on myself when I get bopped in the arm. Um, but having that alone
Mhm.
is a fresh start to the day because I get to be by myself, and I think that as much mom guilt is associated with removing yourself from your children,
Mhm.
it is so important to step away because even if we have I always call her babysitter, but she's technically a nanny. She's with us 5 days a week, most weeks. Sometimes my schedule varies where I just won't have her come on certain days. Um, but she's been with us for the last 3 years. The girls don't cry when I leave. They're excited that she's there.
Mhm.
And I know that we've had enough discussion that she is holding them to the same standards that I hold them to, that they are going to say please and thank you. That if something goes terribly awry or someone's having a bad day, when I get back, it's not just going to be rainbows and butterflies. She'll say, like, Ellie's feeling demanding today. And I'll be like, thank you so much for the warning. um, so I think that was a huge step in being able to step away.
Mhm.
But even if I'm in the house and Lauren, our nanny, is in the house, or my mom is in the house, or my husband's in the house, no matter what, if I am in proximity to my children, they will come and ask me things. Will you open the snack? Will you fill this water bottle? What are we eating next?
Right.
Um, it's just so I know that I have to physically remove myself to some degree.
Mhm.
When there is an infant, like a newborn in the house, I was once told by a maternity nurse, like a recovery nurse
Mhm.
in labor and delivery, that you should prioritize showering every day. Then it might be the only 5 minutes you get to yourself. And I have really tried to take that to heart when I
Mhm.
come home and am in recovery phase,
Yeah.
because sometimes it really is the only time you do not have a baby touching you.
Totally.
And the idea of being touched out, very real.
Oh my god.
Very, very real.
I I exclusively pumped for the past year,
I
and
bow down to you.
everybody said like, when I first I think it was, like, in month 2 or 3 of, like, exclusively pumping, and I told some of my friends, they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Okay, so I'm allowed to feel this way." But the touching, I made it a
Mhm.
rule that my husband is not allowed to touch me when I have my pumps on. Don't touch my shoulder, don't touch my foot, don't even, like, high
Sit too
five.
close to me.
Exactly. Don't
Don't
wear
even
the
sit too
same air,
don't breathe near me.
because the feeling of being touched and, like, you're touched all day, and I'm sure now that, like, when you have children, toddlers, young kids, it's so real that I think taking time to yourself, even grabbing a cup of coffee, going and doing something, even just this is so underrated, but going and sitting in a quiet room when it's quiet.
Oh, absolutely. I will I just the opportunity to sit and be with your own thoughts.
Mhm.
Like, there are times where I drive to get coffee and I realize that I have put absolutely nothing on the car the entire drive. So I will get all the way back home, 20 minutes, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back, and realize that I have been sitting in silence for 20 minutes. The only sound I have experienced is when I went in to get the coffee. And it is just to decompress.
Fully.
Um, yeah, I think that there's those little things, right? Go to get coffee, take a shower. Um, but then there's also like allowing yourself to do things like take a trip,
Yep.
spend a night away, if that's possible for you.
Mhm.
I know there were times during my breastfeeding journey that that wasn't realistic.
Right.
Um, for someone else watching that, like my mom watches them if we go out of town or it's overnight.
Mhm.
Um, but there are times where it's not realistic. If it is, you should do that, and you shouldn't feel
Yeah.
guilty about wanting to go on trips without your kids.
Mhm.
That's something that we've come to realize because of how busy we've been recently.
Yeah.
Uh, there are certain places that aren't meant for a 5, 3, and a 1-year-old, and
Totally.
I'm okay acknowledging that. Uh, And I also don't ever wanna set my kids up for failure in a way where have an expectation of them to behave a certain way, or to go somewhere where they're gonna have jet lag, or to, um like, I barely take our kids to restaurants because they're at an age where even at our own house, so much food ends up on the floor. I don't need to have an expectation of you that you're gonna suddenly go into a restaurant and be like, "I'm gonna mind my P's and
Proper.
Q's, and now I know etiquette." Mom doesn't even know etiquette.
Right.
So, we're gonna take a pause there.
And
Um
and I think I feel like I have a lot of new mom or, like, young mom listeners, and I always talk about how initially I had no plan to have any help because I was like, "Oh, like, I feel guilty, I work from home. I I don't like the idea of having help," and I don't live near any family. So, like, everybody talks about this village that you need to help raise kids. I'm like, "I don't have a village. I barely have friends in the city I live in because of football." And so we tried not doing babysitter, nanny, and I quickly was humbled. I was like, "Why do I feel, like, so drained?" And it was because I was never taking time for myself, and it's the craziest thing I've ever heard is that it's sad that a dad taking time for himself and a mom taking time for herself are different because the moms is usually self-care. Like, "Oh, I need to go get my hair done. I need to get my nails done. Oh, I wanna take a shower." Whereas a guy's is like, "Oh, I'm gonna go golf," or, "Oh, I'm gonna go and catch a game with the guys." So it's like self-care should just be like that's like basic human care. And I think that that's so sad, but hopefully women could, like, find, like, podcasts like yours or mine and, like, find a voice outside of, like, being a mom, and it's totally okay to, like, be selfish, and I think that's something I'm starting to realize is that me going on a trip is, like, it's a good thing. You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
But aren't you don't you feel that you can be a better mom when you take those moments for yourself? Because I truly find that on the days where I go and do something that either I want to do, or even just, like, going to do something work related,
Mhm.
getting out of the house, interacting with other adults, not having every conversation interrupted with, "Mom, mom, 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 can I tell you something?" It is it is refreshing in a way that when I get back in the house, I have so much more patience. I
Absolutely.
have, the energy. I wanna know about their day. Like, it gives the opportunity to miss each other, and then it's not we can sit down at the dinner table and we talk about what happened at school that day. What did you do with Lauren? What did you do outside? And it's it's such a better experience for everyone.
Mhm. Absolutely. I totally agree. I feel like it's taking a step away, allowing me to, like, fill up my cup, like, socially, just doing something that I might enjoy, and then when I come home, I'm like, "Oh, I'm, like, revitalized." Like, I'm, like, back, I'm more patient, I'm more kinder to my husband. Like, "You
Yes.
should give me every night to go and do something." If you guys are listening to this episode when it is released, just know that I'm currently in a very tropical place. I'm in a bikini. It's my first trip in my postpartum body, and I'm feeling, good about it. But at the same time, like, I have dealt with bloating before I was pregnant, and now that I'm postpartum, I feel a little self-conscious about my body. This is my first trip being in a bikini in my postpartum body. And you guys want to know what I'm absolutely packing before I go? My JS Health vitamins, their detox and debloat. I have been taking these on and off for the past few years, and I truly love them. As somebody who has a lot of tummy issues and experiences a lot of intolerances with gluten and dairy, and just I'm very sensitive when it comes to my gut, I absolutely love these vitamins. So let me talk a little bit about them and introduce you guys if you guys are new. So JS Health vitamins are renowned around the world for their transformational, science-backed supplements that deliver results. They have high quality ingredients at therapeutic doses, and they're based off of meticulous research. It was born in Australia, expert nutritionist Jessica Sapel. It's a targeted vitamin or supplement for all of your needs. They have supplements for skin, digestion, stress, sleep, hair growth, growth, and so much more. And I want to talk about their detox and debloat because, like I said, I've been taking this on and off for the past few years and they truly do work. Whether you're going on vacation and you're like, you know what, I might be indulging in food, I don't want to feel uncomfortable with like stomach bloating and all of that. I'm going to take these. Or if you just have a sensitive tummy like I do, I highly recommend them. They support natural detoxification processes based on traditionally used ingredients. So not only are they actually helping you detox, but they're helping reduce bloating as well. It's a vegan-friendly formula and it contains a unique blend of actives including turmeric, milk thistle, fennel, and they're all at a research-backed supplement dose. So they support liver function and promote healthy digestion. And on top of all of that, it's also clean label certified. And I'm always very careful about what I'm putting in my body in terms of like supplements, vitamins, all of that. Sometimes I like to indulge in the gluten and dairy, okay? And these pills make it possible. So if you guys deal with any tummy issues, I highly recommend checking this out. Or if sometimes you just need a little help in the digestion area, highly recommend JS Health Detox and Debloat. But if you are looking for any hair growth vitamins or, just a supplement that is clean and actually does the work, I highly recommend JS Health. So you guys can visit jshealthvitamins.com/Sunday and use code Sunday to receive 20% off your order or your first subscription order. I personally highly recommend. You guys, new year, new me, but also new year, new healthy habits, not only for me, but also for my dogs. My dogs matter so much to me. Everybody on social media is like, oh my God, we get it. You love your dogs. No, my dogs are an extension of me. They are basically my children. Although I didn't give birth to them. And I feel like dogs also deserve a fresh start when it comes to the new year. And if you guys are looking to treat your dog to a healthier meal option with ingredients you can actually pronounce and something that isn't brown and round and crunchy, I'm talking real food and I'm talking about Farmer's Dog. Farmer's Dog makes feeding real healthy dog food very easy and convenient, and I promise you your dog is going to love it. My dogs before, when I would feed them kibble, they just didn't really care. I would put down the bowl and they were uninterested. I did not want to try their dog food. But when it comes to the Farmer's Dog, I can see the food. I'm seeing carrots and chicken, and it's all ingredients that I actually know. I mean, it's literally human grade. So they're pre-portioned meals and they're personalized for your dog's needs, which makes it really simple to keep your dog a healthy, maintainable weight. If you've ever thought about making the switch, now is the time. And another thing about them that is so great is that the Farmer's Dog is developed by on-staff board-certified vets and veterinary nutritionists to be complete and balanced. Again, it's human grade, it's real meat, real veggies. They're gently cooked to meet like the safety and quality standards of human food. But your dog is going to love it. And my dog, ever since we switched, they just are happier, they're more active, and they also really look forward to meals. And I look forward to giving it to them because anything that makes my dog happy, I'm going to try out. So if you guys are looking to switch your dog to a healthy and human grade food, I highly recommend the Farmer's Dog. My dogs love it. I love it. You guys are going to love it. And your dogs are going to love it as well. So right now you can get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/Sunday. Plus you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/Sunday to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/Sunday. Did you not get everything that you needed for your home over the holidays? Well, you don't really need an excuse, or let this be a sign to be your sign, like you don't need an excuse. So Macy's has a 2-day home sale, and it's the perfect time to give your home a refresh with deals on bedding, towels, dining, and more. As we head into this new year, I am really trying to be intentional about what I'm bringing into my house. And I need a fresh start when it comes to towels and sheets and bedding. I think we can all agree that there is no better feeling than jumping into a freshly washed sheet bed But the cherry on top is that the sheets are brand new, and I just feel like heading into the new year, it's something that's so simple that you can replace that's gonna make you feel, like, rejuvenated, revised, and, also it'll, get your sleep score up. So, right now at Macy's, they have 30 to 60% off bed and bath, 15 to 60% off kitchen, 40 to 60% off dining. The event dates are January 14th to January 15th. With it being winter, I'm spending a lot more time inside, a lot more time on my couch, and also a lot more time in my bed, whether that's reading, watching a movie, just getting cozy midday with my daughter. And I know that some new bedding from Macy's will definitely help. So be sure to shop in store at Macy's, or you can also shop online at Macy's.com. That's MACYS.com. Again, the event dates are January 14th to January 15th. It's their home 2-day sale. So before you had 3, almost 4 children, let's take it all the way back. I'm gonna act like I know nothing about you or how you met your husband or anything. So where did you grow up? Like, give me, like, the quick rundown of
Okay,
Kylie.
I grew up, uh, out just outside of Philadelphia. Um, I was in a school district I ended up in a school district that I probably shouldn't have been in the demographic of. I was going to school with kids who had, dual lawyer, dual doctor households of parents, and I am the daughter of a union electrician and a principal secretary from in a public school.
Okay.
So, I was batting in a different tax bracket that I did not belong in. But it was, I had an excellent education. I'm super grateful that my parents were able to put us in that situation. Um, I played field hockey from when I was going into, I think, 3rd grade. I did camps, and then 7th grade on, I played it year round until I was 19. When I graduated from high school, I was not ready to go to a 4-year college. I'm also a massive homebody, so even if I was going to start a 4-year college right out of high school, I don't think I would have strayed far from home anyway, but I went to community college for 3 years. I coached field hockey. I was originally a um, sports health and PE
Mhm.
major. I swore I wanted to be a PE teacher. That didn't end up panning out because I realized there's only one per school and they never leave. So,
No.
it's because they've cracked the code. You get paid to play all day.
Yep.
I respect it. Um, and then after 3 years of community college, I was so desperate to get back on a field hockey field that I emailed probably 8 coaches in the Philadelphia area just to say, "Do you wanna take a chance on a 21-year-old freshman transfer? Maybe?" And
Please?
only one yeah, please? Can I wear your jersey? Um, only one coach answered me, and it was, the coach at Cabrini, which is where I ended up, which is 20 minutes from my house.
Yes.
I I commuted for 3 of my 4 years there. The only year I lived on campus, I was an RA so that I didn't have to pay room and board because I was super careful about the loans that I was taking out, and, I went there as a communication major, so I knew I wasn't gonna be sort of set for life in my first job out of college,
Yeah.
the way some other majors are excelling.
Right.
And um, I ended up playing all 4 years of field hockey, absolutely loved it. It has helped shape me even more into the person I am today. Um, and then as soon as I graduated, I went back to coaching. I got a job in education because, that makes sense when you just got your bachelor's in communications. And I was I was working as a one-to-one with special needs students. So, um, it was something that every single day was different. It was probably my dream job. Now
Mhm.
looking back, I absolutely love it. I've told people so many times that once my kids are school age, I would consider going back and doing the exact same thing,
Mm.
because I loved it that much. and I met Jason on Tinder while I was still in college, which was hilarious.
Not
The
Tinder.
wait, the year that I was an RA was the year that we no, the year we met was the year before I was an RA, I think. And he would come to campus and like he stayed over in my dorm more than once. Sorry, mom. Actually, mom won't care. Sorry, dad.
Okay, wait,
And
was he playing for the Eagles at that time?
yes,
And he's just
which
fully
like when I tell you I would have people in class 2 days later say, "Oh, so and so was talking about how they were walking to their 8 a.m. and saw Jason Kelce walking across campus to go to his truck," and I was just like, "Oh god. This man must really love me because
because
why the hell else would he be on it?" I mean,
not him getting on, like, one of those, like, rentable bikes and just being like, "You know what? I have a few minutes before I gotta get somewhere."
yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. Um, yeah, but that's I would say that about sums it up. Then Jason and I dated for
Was it love at first swipe?
oh god. Well, he felt when we first met, I when we first matched, I did not know who he was. Um, he didn't have any pictures that indicated that he was with the Eagles. So, or that he was a football player. The best
What were
part
his
is
photos of?
like him at tailgates, like shirtless. It was
You're like, "That's
exactly what
mine.
you'd think they are.
That's mine."
But so I've always been tall
Yeah.
and like into sports. And so when my type was very much like men larger than me, which
Absolutely.
I I just feel like as tall women we deserve to feel like
Small.
yeah, dainty.
Yes, and I'm not gonna get that with somebody who weighs only
No.
50 pounds more than me.
No. Not even a little bit. So I saw his pictures and I was like, he's cute and he looks like he could like pick me up. So we matched and I at the time my friends and I would sit in our college apartment on campus. It would be like 6 of us and we would all be swiping at the same time and we would swipe yes to the same people so that we could play off of what each other's conversations were. Like we genuinely did it just to fuck with people.
Yeah, that sounds like a game. That sounds like fun.
We were
Pass
not
the
on there.
wine, let's
No,
play the game.
exactly. So it ended up we were just messing around. So I swiped right, we matched. I sent him a pickup line. I said, I need life alert. I've fallen for you and I can't get up.
Wait, he said that, or you
I
said
said that. I said that.
that?
And he messaged back and was like, no. Like, that's you gotta try harder. And so I said, this is so bad. I limit how many people I tell this to. So this is privileged information.
Ugh.
I then messaged, if I told you I work for UPS, would you let me handle your package?
Kylie, shut the fuck up.
And he was like,
Your dad's not gonna
much.
wanna listen to this episode.
I know. He was like, much better. I like that one a lot. It's so bad.
Why do I feel like when I picture an O lineman, like, that's a pickup line that would actually work?
It did.
And here you are.
And here we are, almost 4 kids later. The best part is that his profile bio on
Mhm.
Tinder was that he wanted to cuddle and have intimate conversations about having babies, and it was sarcastic, but ended up being very ironic. Very
Very.
ironic.
It's like, "I'm looking for someone to build a football team with." And you're like,
Yes.
"A woman football
Done.
team?"
Flag football, female, women
Absolutely.
football? Got it. Yeah, so that's and then
That was
once Well, once
All
we
great
started
love stories
talking,
start that way.
so beautiful.
There should be a
Really
Hallmark movie about
romantic.
this.
It's so bad. Um, but then we continued messaging and it was just like playful, get to know you. And after a little while, I kept thinking to myself that he looked like his photos looked familiar.
Mhm.
So we Googled with all the information we had and we figured out that the photos were of a Philadelphia Eagle. So my friends and I, of course, were like, it's catfish.
Right.
It's not actually him. Um, and so when he said you should meet us out at this bar, my one friend and I, who's like sort of my ride or die friend, where she's the friend where you're like, I have to go bury this body, and she'll be like, I'll bring 2 shovels.
Yeah.
Um, she
She's
was
like, "Don't
like,
text me anymore. I don't want this on
yeah.
record."
She was like, well, we have to go because if it's him, it's hilarious. If it's not him, it's even funnier. And I was like, that's a great point. Let's go. And then we went down to the bar and we walked in and we were like, shit,
Oh, fuck.
that's him. He was so inebriated, he fell asleep 45 minutes later on the bar table, like just out.
What a first impression.
I know. And the next day he messaged me and was like, I'm so sorry. Can we try that again? And I think I hesitated a little, but I was like, sure, because our conversation leading up to it was great. It was great
Leading up to the
banter.
nap?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we met up at another bar a few nights later and we talked for, I want to say 3 hours in the bar.
That's
And
the sign of, like that's the sign.
it was one of those moments where you're like, did we really just talk for 3
Yep.
whole hours in a bar where you can barely hear yourself speak? It was just one of those moments where you're like, "Ah, shit.
What did I
Damn it."
do?
And then we started hanging out sporadically. Actually, a couple days later, he asked if I wanted to go to the Mutter Museum.
I don't know what that is.
You're lucky. It is actually a museum in Philadelphia of medical oddities.
Okay.
It is it is, basically a bunch of, like,
Okay.
of jars of, like this sounds so gross. It is gross. It's
Jars of
you just
body parts, jars
Yep.
of
Jars of body parts, like, in formaldehyde, like, it has
preserved.
Yep. It was
You guys have the most
he had never been. I was like, "If he can get through
everything about
this."
this fucking story, I swear to God.
This is how you know we were meant for each other. When I told him we were gonna go to a museum for medical oddities, like, he was he was gung ho. He was in.
He was like, "I think I just met my wife."
Well, the craziest part is that when we were done, I was pulling up, like, letting him out at his apartment, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm leaving tomorrow for a 10-day trip to Thailand. And, I don't think that I'll be able to contact you because I'll be in Thailand. I don't know if the international plan will work well there." And the whole time he's talking, I was like, "This is the most elaborate way to say that you never wanna see me again. This is this is ridiculous." And so I just let it go. I was like, "Okay, you aren't interested.
Right.
10 days is
What a
crazy
way to I
when
mean, you
you've."
could have just let me down easy, but
I was like, "You could have just
sure.
been like, I'm gonna stop answering your text messages." But no, you were like, "I'm going to Thailand for 10 days." Um, and at some point during the trip, I think it was like day 6, he sent me a picture of a monkey on a beach.
Thinking of you.
It's like, Oh. Oh, he actually went to Thailand. And that was the moment where I was like, "Uh, okay."
This guy's not
Um,
playing games. This guy is a straight shooter. Like,
it was weird. And then after he got back, we started hanging out consistently. It was one of those where we would hang out one day and 3 days would pass, we would see each other again, and then a month or 2 went by and it was, "Oh shit, are we gonna hang out back to back days?"
mm, true love story.
And yeah, and then you're just like, this is not if you're not feeling the same as me, this is terrible. It turns out we were on the same page, so it's fine.
So then how long between meeting to him proposing? Also, I need to now that I know the full how you guys met story, I need to know how he proposed.
Oh. Oh god. Um, his proposal fit us perfectly.
Okay.
We dated, I believe it was 3 years before
Mhm.
he proposed. It was a week into training camp, so I was fully convinced that we were not getting engaged for another year because you know how football goes. Once football starts, it's
Yep.
football. There is nothing else. Nothing else exists to the world. It is football.
I'm glad that's a common experience amongst other women
Oh,
dating
yes.
NFL players because I fully knew that if it doesn't happen over the offseason, it's not happening.
I firmly believed that.
Yep.
Um, and his first off day, went out to my parents' house, took the dog.
During training camp.
During training camp, they would have 1 off day a week. So we
Mhm.
went out for like Sunday dinner with my parents. And we had a whole dinner, hung out for a while. Our dog loved to play with my parents' dog, which was part of the reason why we would go out there. And we get we go outside, we get in the car, the dog's in the car, we're ready to leave. And Jason turns and is like, I gotta run back in. And said, okay, what really this is time you have to take a shit.
I was gonna say, "Are you going potty?"
Literally. He was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, but do me a favor, like just like hurry up because the dog's in the
Limit the
car.
time.
Needless to say, he goes in, unbeknownst to me, was asking my parents' permission to ask me to
Oh.
marry him. And so he comes out,
He's like, "She's not gonna bother me during this time."
wait, he comes out less than 5 minutes later. I know my husband. That
He
wasn't enough time to take a shit. So he gets back in the car, and I straight up said, go back in there and finish your business. Go back in. We are not stopping on the way home for you to pull over to a gas station or Wawa to take a shit. Go back in and go to the bathroom. And he was like, "No, I'm good." At that time, my sister pulls up behind us. She gets out of the car. She comes up to the window. She's talking to us. And I said, just go back in with Aubrey. Go take a shit. This is not that big. Aubrey, he needs to go in the house and take a shit. And she's like, come in and take a shit. So, so the whole time, he's just silent and fidgeting. And he's like, I don't need to take a shit. And my sister goes and walks in the house. And the minute the door closes, he turns and he says, this isn't the most romantic way to do this, but I need you to get out of the truck. And as soon as he said romantic, I knew immediately what was happening because romance is not something this man is well versed. And the fact that he knew this was a romantic moment, I was like, got it. Immediately started crying. I blacked out. I have no idea what this man said to me. I'm pretty sure he asked me to marry him. I'm not 100% sure, but there was a ring involved and I put it on.
Yep.
I know I said yes. I know that.
Then did it happen in the car?
No, we got out. So
It was in your parents' house?
on it was right on the front lawn of my parents' house.
Wow.
Um, there is no photo evidence, no video evidence, and honestly, he
Was
nailed
he
that part.
I was gonna okay, so you liked that.
Yes, I am not I really I don't like having attention on me. So when it was just the two of us and it was a private moment, it was perfect. When I would see other people get engaged and it was this big public display, I would have secondhand anxiety of, oh God, I can't imagine. First of all, feeling that many emotions with that many eyes on you,
Mhm.
I'm not built for that. So
I
it
never
was
wanted a
perfect.
public engagement, that's for sure, because it's a lot of pressure.
Isn't it though? It's almost like
Yeah.
opening a gift in front of someone and you're expected to have a certain reaction.
I hate opening gifts in front of other people.
Not my cup of
I
tea.
don't know how to say thank you.
I don't know how to tell someone that I like it and be convincing even when I like it,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is the strangest phenomenon. Like I open something and I get excited about it and then my body starts to shut down and my face melts and then I'm like, I don't know how to make emotions now.
Thank you, I think.
Yes. I appreciate this a
So,
lot.
was he planning to propose at
No.
that moment, or was it kind of forced because you kept asking him to take a shit?
I think he was like, "All right, shit or get off the pot." I I think that his intention when he went back in to ask my parents was to ask my parents and then come back out and ask me. I
Oh,
don't think that he thought I was going to be so suspicious about the short amount of time he was in the house. So, I did feel a little guilty about the fact that it was a whole conversation about taking a shit leading
leading
up
up
to.
to the engagement.
Yes, but that's what happens when you know your husband is a minimum 15-minute kinda guy.
Yeah. I'm sure now, with social media, like, those 15 minutes evolve.
Oh,
It's like
children.
yeah,
Uh, there are times
only supposed
where
to be peace and quiet.
yeah, shit will be hitting the fan, pun intended, and he'll stand up and be like, "I'm going to the bathroom,"
Yep.
and
Totally.
gone for 30 I mean, 30 minutes. And I don't even the funny thing is, I don't even blame him. I
No,
don't.
no,
You know
no.
what? You save yourself.
Yes,
Have at it.
exactly. It's funny that you made the comment about proposing before, like, football season started, because I fully a week before training camp and a week before my husband ended up proposing, I was in the car, we are driving to a friend's house because she had just gotten engaged, and, it was a teammate, and it was literally the entire team was there, and we were driving, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny because, training camp starts in 5 days, and I don't have a ring on my finger." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, honestly also, we had been dating for 6 years, so I feel like what the fuck was granted,
Appropriate.
and in January, he had told me, like, "Oh, it's coming this off season," and I was like, "This off season's, it's ending, and we have no coming up plans." This man proposed the day before training camp.
Yes. But isn't that funny that our brains equated it to, "Oh, it's the off season or nothing."
No, actually, like, there's a 0% chance it was happening during football season.
I'm pretty sure 2 days after he left for training camp, I do think I had a cry of, "Oh, I really thought, like," and had only been dating 3 years. I was very much I very much wanted to get engaged
Mhm.
because we had had so much conversation about it. It wasn't just like, "Oh, I'm delusional and I think he wants to marry me." Like, we had had so many conversations about, like, our life and planning our future together, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I thought
You're like,
we were
"Wait."
gonna nothing?
Fully.
So,
And
it
I
is funny how that, like, training camp hits and it's like, "Well, another year."
another year. I fully, Isaac and I fully split rent. A lot of people I feel like I've talked about this a little bit. We split rent all the way up until we were engaged, except he told me in January, "Okay, I think I'm gonna propose this off season." So I was like, "Okay." It gets to around April, and I'm like, "I'm going on strike. I am no longer paying rent. You either put the ring on my finger or you will not see another dime of mine." And a lot of people find that to be funny. They're like, "Oh, so you forced him to propose?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
I was like, "If you're not saving half of the rent to buy me a ring, then why the fuck are we doing this?"
If my rent isn't going into a different bank account for something shiny,
Yes.
I love using the new year as an excuse to look at my fitness goals, readjust them, reevaluate them, make some changes. And one thing that I think is the best for my fitness goals is my Oura ring. I've talked about my Oura ring plenty of times on various forms of social media. I used my Oura ring to not get pregnant. I then used my Oura ring to get pregnant. And now heading into 2025, I am using my Oura ring for my fitness goals. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Oura ring, it is a revolutionary smart ring that delivers personalized health data, insights, and daily guidance. I'm a huge fan of the Oura ring. For one, it does not take very long to charge, and the charge lasts up to a few days. With being a busy mom, I'm like, okay, that's something really easy, simple. I don't have to remember to charge it every single night. But also, it is such a cute, stylish ring. It goes with all of my outfits. I ended up getting the Oura ring 4 in gold, and I'm really happy. I had the silver a few years ago, but I upgraded to the gold, and I'm so happy that I did. So if you guys have never seen the Oura ring or you don't know much about it, it can track your sleep, it can track your steps, different workouts, and it also works with the Natural Cycles app to track your cycle. So again, I've talked about it tracking my cycle and helping me get pregnant, helping me not get pregnant. Oura ring empowers women to better understand their bodies so that they can be their own health advocate. Natural Cycles is the world's first birth control app, and it's now powered by Oura ring. So this 2025, commit to your body, commit to yourself, and commit to your health. Be sure to check out Oura ring at ouraring.com. My husband made a pretty big mistake, and that was putting down his personal phone number for his business. So whenever people are calling customer service, Isaac's going to answer, but the problem is like I'm calling the same phone number. So for him, it's really hard to separate personal and business, and that's where Open Phone comes in. If you guys have never heard of Open Phone, it is the #1 business phone system. They're going to help you separate your personal life from your growing business. So if in 2025, one of your goals is start a business, you don't have to use your personal phone number, use Open Phone. For just $15 a month, which is literally the cost of 3 coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything that's happening with your business phone number. It works through an app on your phone or your computer, and it integrates with HubSpot and hundreds of other systems. So they make it really, really easy. They also use AI-powered call transcripts and summaries. So you'll have a summary of your phone call with action items. And I'm telling you, this is making it as easy as it possibly can be. And I know customer service is big for a lot of people. So Open Phone is great for any small business owner or anybody who is juggling business on their personal phone. Tisk tisk, okay? So right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/Sunday. That's openphone.com/Sunday, SUNDAY, for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/Sunday. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Playoffs. We're talking about football playoffs? You bet we are. So get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SSC, that's code SSC, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies in jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours author issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Wedding planning. Did you guys have a huge wedding? Because you don't seem like a huge wedding couple, but you
No.
also I feel like he comes from a close-knit family. Like, do you guys have big extended families?
Um, Jason has no first cousins.
Okay. I don't know why
So
I thought that he would come from a
he
big
it's
family.
well, it's funny because his family, the 4 of them, are very close, and then his mom has only 1 brother and his dad has only 1 sister. That is it. They had some cousins that were, like, cousins by marriage,
Mhm.
but they were not related. So he has no first cousins. We had, I wanna say, like, 150 people.
Oh, that's not huge.
I would have been I was very much the person, again, who did not want all eyes on me, so I would have been the person that would have potentially eloped.
You're like, "Do I have to stand at the altar during this wedding?"
When I tell you the fear in my soul about walking down the aisle and having all eyes on me was so overwhelming that I still remember the moment, and if this wasn't the exact, like, storybook, this is how when you know, I
Mhm.
walked to the doors, our wedding planner opened like, told me to step up, the doors open, and I'm shaking, like, my knees are trembling, and I look down the aisle, it's sort of like a convoluted path, but I
Mhm.
look, and he is standing there just, like, waiting for me, and I was like, "Oh, I can get there now." Like, it was like I could breathe
Mhm.
because I could see him, and I was like, "Oh, I can get to him."
Yeah. Oh, that's so
And
sweet.
that was very much, I mean, validation, not that that would be the time where I'd be like, "Well, I'm
I
still
was
nervous,
waiting
so
for
I'm not
that
coming."
moment.
Not
Hold on,
coming.
I need to think about it for a second.
But yeah, it was we did not have a huge wedding. We had close friends and family there. We did have a wedding planner because that's not my forte
No.
by any means. The people who plan a wedding
Are
on
not
their
your type
own,
A.
I I am
No.
fascinated.
No.
I
I
tell
couldn't even
everybody.
plan my daughter's first birthday alone. And it was not, like, overdone. It was simple, cutesy, and
Oh,
I
by the way, boob cake, great move, Isaac. Great move. Outstanding.
I think that was him being like, "Hey, thank you. Can we have another kid?" That's what I was
He was like,
getting.
"Look how much I appreciate you. Let's
'Cause
do it again."
my boobs do not look like that. So I think he was complimenting me and thanking me at the same time as, like, a gentle nudge.
Whose boobs look anything like they used to after you breastfeed a child?
My nipples do not look like that.
I mean, all around. When you are, I mean, well, are you now no longer, this is an intrusive question, so feel
It's
free to not include this.
I'm an open book.
Are you still pumping now or you're done? I s
I officially put the pumps away.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I had the goal of a year, made it to a year, and yes, I am done.
My goal is always 6 months, and,
That's an incredible goal. I think
well,
anything.
after that, I will do it until I decide I want my body back,
Mhm.
and I've hit 8 months, I think, for every child.
There's a lot of guilt around it. I
So
wasn't ready
much.
for the guilt of it,
Yes.
and then you have, like, a community online that's like, "Oh, like, fed is best." But and I'm like,
Doesn't
"Jesus Christ,
it
can we just leave
doesn't
out
it
that part?"
seem doesn't it seem like the people who are not the fed is best people, the breast is best people, they're louder
They are loud.
and aggressive.
I'm, like, scared of them. No, and so when like, I think she was 3 months old when she just stopped latching, and I was like, "Well, I could try pumping," and I just kinda did it. It just kinda happened. And then I
I
look up and I'm like, "Oh,
I
we're doing this."
always say my sister exclusively pumped for her kids as well, and I always say I bow down to you. Like, I just the idea that this is so type B of me. The idea of having to clean the
Yeah.
pump parts puts
That's
me in
where
a coma.
okay, so that's where, my privilege comes in because I did not the Isaac part. Isaac's I mean, yes, I'm privileged to have a husband. I made a goal or a plan, and I said, "If I am pumping, you are in charge of always cleaning them." Okay.
That's outstanding. Did it hold up?
This man went on Amazon, and when I tell you spent so much probably the price of formula on extra pump parts so that he only had to clean pump parts once a day.
I
I was like,
tried that.
"You're cheating."
I did try that. Um, yeah, I cleaning pump parts, even the thought of it, it's kind of making me tear up right now. The thought of
There's, like,
it makes
5
me wanna
different
cry.
parts, and you have to make sure
Yes.
you put them on right,
Yes.
because I have pumped for 30 minutes, and I look down, and I'm like, "Why is there no milk?" And a part's missing?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would not recommend that, but it has shown me that, like, I'm strong and, like, I can, like, do things that I definitely didn't think I could once do.
Yes. So
Um,
Scotty latched for the first 3 months and then
yeah.
just stopped. She just decided she was like, "That's not for me."
Yeah,
I
it's
love that.
totally though, I think it's honestly my fault because I didn't know what I didn't know. I was so worried about the birth process because we were in Vegas when I was pregnant, finding a doctor, finding an OBGYN, like who's going to birth my child and what does that look like? And then he lost his job, so then I was worried about that, and I never did any research for breastfeeding or pumping or anything. So I literally was just, like, winging it. So at Scotty's first pediatrician appointment, they were like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, my nipples are bleeding." And they were like, "Oh, try pumping instead." And I was like, "Oh," not knowing that, like, introducing a bottle that early on might affect her latching and all of that. So I honestly do kinda take a little bit of responsibility for that. And I think that's why I was so hard on myself to make it to a year of pumping because I was like, "I don't
Sure.
have control of a lot, but I do have control of this."
I do think there's also my experience with breastfeeding are first specifically because she wasn't a chubby baby, like, she didn't fatten up
Mhm.
in a way that my brain said, "She's well fed."
Right.
And the number of times I asked our pediatrician, "Well, how do I know?" Because I was exclusively breastfeeding. I did not have the supply to pump.
Mhm.
So, the itty bitty titty committee came through. They were like, "We'll do the bare minimum, and give you no extra." And
Which is so tough because then how
it
do you leave your house and
that's
how do
it.
you
And I just kept asking him, and he kept saying, "How many wet diapers? And do you
Mhm.
see that she's still on track for weight?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he said, "Her percentile is consistent. It is I'm not concerned about her growth. And the wet diapers is the main way to figure it out." But there were
Mhm.
times where I'm in a 3 a.m. feed and thinking to myself, maybe I'll just buy that changing table with the scale in it. Maybe I'll just
Yeah.
splurge and do it. And then I know that I am I knew that that was not gonna be healthy for me.
Mhm.
So I was like, "I'm not gonna do it." The same with the socks that do uh,
The owlette sock or like the heart yeah.
it's not for me.
It made me
Because
more paranoid.
that's exactly right. I would have been the mom that was waking up every hour to look at my phone, and that was not going to work.
Well, I didn't need
Um,
the sock because I had my hand on her at
I was
all
I was
throughout the
just about to say,
day.
Wyatt didn't need the sock because we were actually touching at all times.
Absolutely.
It She is built different. She was my initiation into motherhood, for sure. Um, but yeah, I commend you so much just for like even like going a full year is crazy to me. Like, and I don't mean that in like a that it's crazy that you did that, but just so impressive to commit that much of your time and energy.
It's wild.
That's
It feels wild, especially, and I think the part where somebody who doesn't have kids might not get it, but, like, you're missing out on, like, bonding with the breastfeeding part. So I literally just felt like, "Okay, I'm a cow."
to be fair, I felt like that and they were latched. So if that makes you feel any better.
It does kinda make me feel a little bit better. I just
Yeah.
feel like it's like the motorized, like, yeah, I just felt like I was literally just take whatever you want, just take it, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
How was having kids and having your husband play in the NFL? Like, was it a lot to juggle, or did you feel like it was, like, it just became normal?
You know what's funny? There are certain things I get very anxious about, certain things that I'll overthink.
Mhm.
Most things, like when we were about to have our first, my brain immediately goes to, we're going to do it. Like, there is no wavering here. Like, we're just, whatever needs to happen, we're going to do.
Mhm.
And that held true because I originally got pregnant. Um, oh gosh, I don't even know when, the year before, um, and miscarried. When I went into my 13-week appointment, I found out I had a missed miscarriage,
Oh,
um, and had to end up having a DNC a few days later. And I was extremely fortunate. I think my body just was not, we were not on the same page. My body was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what we were doing. And in my next cycle, my next full cycle, I got pregnant with Wyatt.
wow.
So originally, my first pregnancy, I was supposed to give birth in May. And then Wyatt was born in October. So um, that was a fun surprise.
A
Uh,
little bit of change.
got it. But it was, the heart of football season. We,
I commend women that give birth in the middle of football season.
you know what cracks me up? The questions that arise from people about that happening. So the most frequent question was, what happens if you go into labor on game day?
Well,
Thank you so much for your concern about me. Um,
fully.
I, again, I am the type of person who's just like, I'm going to do it. So, my answer to that and a conversation that my husband and I had was, if I go into labor, because they stay in the hotel the night before, if I
Mhm.
go into labor and you are going to be playing a game while I'm pushing this baby out, I'm not telling you. Like, I'll tell
Oh.
you when you're done.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I'm not going to ask you to leave the game, or I would tell the necessary people who would get
Mhm.
you off the field the fastest.
Right.
And besides that, I'm good. Like, I'm good. We knew we were going to try and have more kids. You'll be there for the next one. I don't I, and
Kylie, I think you're one of the most low maintenance, like, chill people I've ever met.
I just it fascinated me that these people were so invested in the fact that I might steal the Philadelphia Eagles center to watch his first child come into the world. And I was like, first of all, no. Second, we'll be fine. Like, so she was hunkered down in there. She was not coming out until she was evicted. So we actually were
Okay.
able to plan. We had her on a Wednesday, I believe,
Mhm.
um, with a full induction, and dad was able to be there. And this is my favorite part that other people don't realize. He was there the day that I gave birth. He slept. Well, I showed up then Tuesday night.
Mhm.
began the induction, gave birth to her on Wednesday. So all he missed was Wednesday.
Mhm.
He slept in the hospital. He left Thursday morning for work from the hospital. My dad had to come to the hospital to pick me and our new baby up.
"Dad, can you come get me?"
Just Ubering home, hitchhiking home from the hospital with
Oh my god.
our new baby. Yeah. Uh,
I am kinda
s
the opposite of you. If I have to be there, you have to be there.
I love that. See, I
But
love that
also,
because I like
my
the
husband was in
balance
a
of
different
that.
position. My
Yes,
husband, wasn't starting. So I was
sure.
like
Isn't it funny how our brains can prioritize that?
I'm like, "I think it's gonna be okay."
You can miss one.
Like,
Yeah,
do it for the plot, Isaac. I mean,
yeah,
he didn't have to do that. The Raiders made that decision for him. Grateful for that. So, I
right?
also
Blessing in disguise?
yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Um,
NFL, we love it.
just keeps us on our toes.
We football.
This will be your first baby not like, you don't have to think about football.
Yes.
How is I guess you have been chill up until this point, so it doesn't really change much.
No, it's significantly less planning, honestly. With
Mhm.
Wyatt, there were so many conversations with our OBs who are my saviors. I love them. I love them with a deep passion.
Are your OBs Eagles fans?
They are. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like that makes a difference a little bit. I just have to interrupt because my OB in Vegas was a Raiders fan. She was like, "We can induce any day you want." I was like,
I'm gonna the crazy part is that I have talked to so many people who also go to the OBs that I go to, and that's my favorite part about the whole thing is that every single person talks about receiving the same treatment,
"Okay."
and I'm like, "I love not getting special treatment." I love that. I say that as I'm like, "Well, we did take them with us to the Super Bowl in case I gave birth on the
Fully
plane."
special treatment.
Whatever.
Kylie, that is rare to bring your OB to a
My
different state.
so my biggest fear that was a lot of planning. I had to call we had a connection to someone who had played in Arizona.
Mhm,
They had an OB office that they loved and trusted and that I think many of the Cardinals, players had gone through.
mhm.
And so I called up their office. That was a fun
"Hi,
phone
this is
call.
Kylie Kelce."
I was like,
Um,
"Hello, I'm wondering if I could speak to one of your doctors." And they were like, "For what reason are you a current patient?" And I said, "No, I'm a prospective patient."
like, maybe in, like, 2
Maybe, but
weeks?
maybe not. And I basically had one of their doctors call me and I went through a full rundown of I actually took 2 OBs because I love them both
1
so
wasn't
dearly.
enough.
Um,
Just in
but
case one has a little too much Super Bowl fun.
that's it. But I said to the doctor in Arizona, I know that my doctors cannot perform medically in Arizona, but the plane is the part I'm concerned about because I'm gonna be on this plane with all the Eagles family, and I don't want to get into that situation without medical staff. So, and I was 38 weeks at the time. I was the day the Super Bowl was played, I think I had 12 or 13 days between that and my due date.
Jesus
And
Christ.
this was our 3rd kid. So
Which
everyone
means
says
it's
they
gonna come
walk out.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, my cervix is a steel trap and she was in there, but uh we took my OBs because I love them and it was a very strange coordination of I will bring my OBs to the hospital if need be to advise, but obviously they won't be able to practice in Arizona.
Right.
Um, but my OBs we had the conversation 4 or 5 months prior where we had the hypothetically speaking.
Right. If we were to
And
go to the Super Bowl, everybody talks about the hypotheticals. Like, if you're in the
'cause you
NFL,
don't
you're
wanna jinx it. You don't wanna
no.
jinx it.
And I'd
So
be like,
I
"Oh, yeah,
said
we probably won't go to the Super Bowl."
the best part is that I think the conversation was so vague that I said, "Hypothetically speaking, if we had to go on a trip when I was 38 weeks pregnant, would someone come with me?"
Did you get
And
them
the
tickets to
answer
the
was
Super
yes.
Bowl?
What's that?
Did they get tickets to the Super Bowl?
Oh, we brought them to the game, yes.
Okay, I was like, "You're not bringing them all the way out there and I'm not taking them to the game."
Absolutely not. I had Joan and Colleen firmly planted.
Those are very comforting names. I would let a
They're
Joan
the
or a Colleen
best. They're
deliver
the
my child.
best. They're the best.
So now they're probably excited to deliver this one knowing that you're gonna be in the same state.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I'm like, "You're not making plans for any other trips, are you?"
No, I hope not. Especially not at the end of March. Like, where the heck would we go at the end of March? No, thanks.
Right?
No.
So do you feel like this is gonna complete? I mean, this is an invasive question. Do you feel like this is gonna complete your family?
Oh, that's not an invasive question. That's been regularly on my mind. I do we've had conversations about how 4, I think, is a good number.
Mhm.
I've always said I wanted 4 kids with room for 1 pleasant surprise. Um, but I love even numbers, and also that feeling of yeah, this is I know I sound logical. Um, it's it's funny you get to this point now where I'm considering driving a minivan. I mean,
Ah,
there's
you're
there's
in a different stage.
there's milestones now where I have moments of pause
Mhm.
because I don't wanna drive a minivan, but is it the most practical? Yes. So I'm probably gonna end up
I
driving a
heard they're
minivan.
roomy.
Everyone can walk back to their own seat. No one's, like, falling out of the car. It's
Right.
the door you can open the door from the driver's seat. That's exciting.
Love that.
I mean, you can do that on a Tesla too, but we're not gonna fit in there and screw that guy.
Yeah, right. I feel like if you need a new car for 4 because you need a 3rd row. So, I mean,
Yes.
5 wouldn't be horrible. I'm sure you
No.
get this question a lot. People, I'm sure, are like, "Ah, he didn't get his boy."
That is one of the most infuriating I mean,
Like,
people
"Oh,
put
he's not gonna
this
get his football player. He's not gonna."
that's it. People put this strange pressure on the idea that my husband is supposed to have a boy because he's going to follow in his footsteps and he's going to be a football player and he needs to play catch in the yard.
That
I
sounds like
hate to
childhood trauma.
I hate to break it seriously, I hate to break it to you, but our kids play catch with him in the in the house all the time. He's fine.
Yeah.
It
I hate that. I actually hate that. When Isaac and I found out we were having a girl, everyone's like, "Oh my god, seeing a man, like, get so excited about having a daughter." What?
it's a baby.
Spoiler alert, we didn't want a boy to begin with.
I'll tell you what, I've seen little boys at this point that are mobile, um, destructive, and don't get me wrong, my kids are drawing on the walls, breaking things that don't need to be broken, but I we're good. Like, we got what we were supposed to get, okay?
Mhm,
And I love I especially love I do think I would have had a slight amount of disappointment had this baby been a boy.
mhm,
Because when you're 3 deep in girls, it's like you have 3.
right.
If you now have a boy, that poor child is going to be dressed up by his sisters, used as a baby doll.
Mhm.
I'm dressing you in pink hand-me-downs. I'm not buying a full new wardrobe when you're just gonna have a blowout and I'm gonna have to soak it anyway. We're not doing that. We're not. You're wearing pink.
I know, I'm like,
Um,
maybe, like, there's not having 4 girls, that doesn't necessarily mean there's gender disappointment there. Like,
no.
maybe
But
they're just happy.
it is crazy that people feel so inclined. Even now, pregnant with a child, they will say to me, "Would you still try for a boy?" No. No, I wouldn't. Actually,
Fuck
thank you
no.
so much for asking.
Thank you. No, I think I'm just gonna keep banging my husband for fun.
Yep. We're actually having a blast making these babies. Thank you so much for
No,
your
but we're
input.
practicing.
That that was the craziest. What I still tell, like, I'll tell my friends and whoever is in that phase of life when you're newly married, because it's always, "When are you getting engaged? When are you getting married? When are you having kids?" It's like,
Yep.
"Can you chill out? Can you
Yeah.
take a break?" Um, but when people say, "Oh, are you guys trying?"
You mean, are we fucking?
Can confirm. I
Yeah,
would
I actually
I
just bought
tell
new lingerie.
I would tell my friends, "Tell people that you're practicing, you're having a lot of fun."
That'll
Like,
shut him up real quick.
tell them, because then they'll have a moment of, "Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Maybe this wasn't a question I should've asked.
you did just ask if my husband and I are having unprotected sex." I wanna be clear on the question you just asked. Like, let's reframe it.
Is he pulling
And
out?
right?
Annie's probably listening to this like, "Oh god, we gotta cut that one out."
It does just it cracks me up that people feel so inclined to ask such intrusive questions, and the
Mhm.
best part is that in the space that we're in, where to some degree we have invited it,
Yeah.
but then other people just feel entitled to the answer. I always say, like, the podcast is called Not Gonna Lie for a reason. I won't lie to you, but
Yep.
if I don't wanna answer a question, I'm not gonna answer it.
Absolutely.
And now that being said, I am unreasonably open.
I was gonna say you seem like an open book,
Very
but
much,
I
probably to
do
a fault.
I reserve the right that if I don't wanna answer to a specific person, 'cause,
Oh,
like, it might not be the
absolutely.
question that offends me, you just as a person might offend me.
Correct. That happens more than I can admit.
Right,
But the
exactly.
boy thing, yeah, that's been a and full transparency, my husband and I, we actually had a conversation after we found out that we were having our second girl.
Mhm.
We spoke to a fertility specialist to figure out if there was testing to be done to figure out, like, how many boy swimmers my husband has. And they were like, "Really, the only way you can ensure, we call it family planning, and it's IVF."
IVF.
And I was like, "I cannot express to you how much I'm not that desperate."
Yeah,
I if as long as I'm getting healthy babies, I
totally.
don't feel the need to influence the universe in that way.
Mhm.
And also, can we just if it is not a necessary means of getting pregnant, I wouldn't wish that on anybody,
No.
specifically the woman, because you're taking shots, you're
Shots and
basically forcing your body into a cycle, you are like just injecting hormones and other things, and all your husband has to do is provide a sample. That's
that's clever.
crazy.
Honestly, like, shout out to all the women who do IVF
I
because
I am so grateful that science has got us there so that it
yeah.
opens up the opportunity, and that the more that we normalize it,
Mhm.
I mean, I've said it multiple times. It is not as easy to get pregnant
Mhm.
as we were taught in high school.
Absolutely.
In high school, we were scared shitless that if a guy looks at you long enough, good luck.
Yeah.
That's not the case. The number of friends I've had who have tried for a year, who have tried for multiple years, um, and then there's the mix and match. Like, we had friends who went to IVF and then got pregnant with an Irish twin naturally because their body was like, "Oh, I can do that again."
Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay.
Um, and so I am so grateful that that is an option now.
Mhm.
Um,
And it
but
makes me realize that the question about, "Oh, he didn't get his boy," it's like, I'm grateful I got pregnant.
right? Like, well, that's the other thing is, like, having experienced a loss before Wyatt
Mhm.
has made me very realistic on being grateful
Yeah,
about just being able to get pregnant.
absolutely.
So it, everyone's journey is different. Especially when it comes to pregnancy and building your family.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you don't. I don't need a son. Quite honestly, my girls and I
You
are
guys
kicking it.
she's like, "Actually, I think
We're
Wyatt
chilling.
is gonna go pro." So, we're fine. We're fine on that front.
Wyatt's actually going to be out there tackling all of your sons. So you're welcome.
I love that I mean, you have a beautiful family. They seem like badass kids in the best way. Um, so what's next for Kylie? I know you just came out with your
Oh,
podcast, like, what can the people look forward to?
it sounds so silly, but continued honesty. That's really it. That's all I can guarantee. I don't know how long I will do the podcast. It depends how our lives shake
Mhm.
out. We're still trying to navigate retirement and what our new schedule looks like.
Mhm.
My husband has a lot of things on his plate right now. Um, it's just I never try to look too far into the future because I think that it sets expectations that you could potentially not meet or be disappointed because you fall short.
Right.
Um, Ultimately, I hope that the podcast settles into the demographic that it was meant for.
Mhm.
All the headlines and nonsense that are happening right now, I'm so happy that it's been doing well, but at the same time, I want it to hit the demographic it's supposed to hit. I
Yeah.
want it to speak to I want the women who need to hear about you getting your pink back to be able to hear about you getting your pink back.
Mhm.
I want those messages to get to the right ears. Um, and I'm I truly believe that those are the conversations that we as moms, we as women need to have more openly because the conversations that we're not having are things that we're all experiencing. Postpartum depression, um, baby blues,
Mhm.
mom guilt, feeling like inadequacies as a woman, like all of these things are things that we all experience
Mhm.
that nobody talks about because we're like that I should have shame because of that.
Yeah. And I think that's been one of the things over the past year is, there's, like, a TikTok trend going around, and it's like, "Oh, I didn't accomplish anything this year," and I'm like, "Wow." Like, I spoke about postpartum depression, I spoke about getting my pink back, I spoke very transparently and candidly about motherhood, in a very real sense, and, yeah, I'm really excited for your podcast because I do think it will find the audience, and I think people are gonna find community in it, and, you're a fucking badass. Like, I look up to you in
Well,
many ways.
I will say the whole reason that we connected and you were very high on my list of like, I want to talk to Allie.
That's
Get Allie on the podcast
that's
now.
a huge compliment, thank you.
Well, no, because I am so grateful for those transparent conversations that you are having and especially the way that you put it out. So, you putting it out in short form on your social media makes it easily digestible for women because how much time do we have? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then to be able to spark that sort of corner of the internet of comfort for
Mhm.
women who can then tuck in for your podcast
Yeah.
is so beautiful. And again, we need to have these conversations. Like you openly talking about postpartum depression is something that strikes me deeply because I have had periods of my life where I truly believe I was experiencing postpartum. I know with Wyatt that I had severe baby blues. Like
Mm.
we left the hospital and I was like, this, so you're telling me this is mine.
Yeah.
And for the first, I always tell people the biggest milestone for me with Wyatt was when she could smile and on purpose
Mhm.
because it showed that there was a connection.
Yeah.
Most people will take their baby home and it's this sensationalized social media of, look at how beautiful my baby is. No, my baby cried from bewitching hour at 8 p.m.
Mhm.
until 4 AM if I wasn't holding her or she wasn't on my boob. We
It's
were not on the same we were not cool, okay?
well, the comment that people say, like, "Oh, the moment I met my daughter, like, it was game over," and, like, obviously, the moment I saw my daughter for the first time was a beautiful experience,
Yes.
but it was also terrifying. It was scary,
Horrific.
and the first few weeks, like, I feel like I blacked out. I feel like there are points in the first few weeks postpartum that I don't remember, and it's like, you don't see that on social media. You see,
That's
like
that's self-preservation is
yeah,
what that is. That is
survival.
it is. And,
Yeah.
but those are the things where, like, I absolutely love that you are having those conversations, that you are being so clear and transparent, and that you're not just trying to be the aesthetic, like,
I
mom on
couldn't
so
if I fucking tried.
dude, you and me both.
I showed Kylie a picture of my closet before we started filming, so she no.
And it looks like mine. I think that, like, I think that if we had these conversations more often, we would all, as moms and women, not feel this immense sense of guilt that we've all put on
Mhm.
ourselves
Absolutely.
and that society has put on us. And so I am so grateful that you are having this conversation. I'm so grateful in the ways that you are pushing out the information, and so welcoming to other people to hear your experience and to so that they can validate their own.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um, so thank you for doing that, and thank you for having me on. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on, and, I'm excited to hear more from your podcast. So everybody head over to all of Kylie's socials. Where can they find you?
It's at NGL with Kylie on pretty much every platform.
Not gonna lie, love the name.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, and, I'm sure Super Bowl's right around the corner, so we'll see each other soon.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I know.
Should we team up for a little radio row?
I think we should.
Oh, let's do it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.